Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm super excited, as usual, you might say, but really, this time I am super excited. That's because we have here a Generate 3, which is a sound generator by JORANALOGUE. And I was really waiting for this one. That's because of Filter 8 that was released a year ago. We all know that this is one of the best filters in the Eurorack realm, and one of my favorite filters, if not the favorite one. Joran from JORANALOGUE is always trying to push the envelope, always trying to reinvent the well-known designs, just as he did with the Filter 8 and, for instance, with the Contour 1 on the left. He did the same thing to Generate 3. It's one of the most original and unique sound generators I have came across, and I'm using the term sound generator on purpose. That's because it's not an ordinary oscillator. Because normally what you do with an oscillator, is few different wave shapes. You can have some influence over the frequency. You can have the FM. You can have the through zero FM, and that's basically it. So in the analog realm, it all stays pretty much the same until now. This is special. That's because it's not generating just the waves. I mean, you could achieve all the standard waves like the triangle, square, sawtooth, and sine wave, but it approaches the sound generating process similarly to how people perceive sounds. When you normally play a note or make a sound, play piano, play trumpet, you not only hear the sound you play. So for instance, if you press a C on a piano, you're not only hearing a C, that's the fundamental sound, but you are also hearing lots and lots of different harmonics, the odd and even harmonics that have a different amplitude. And that's how you can tell that a piano is a piano and a trumpet is a trumpet. And Joran has came up with an idea to approximate this process within his module. So we can think of it as a combination of three timbre channels. As you can see here, we have the fundamental, even, and odd, and they all sound different. You also have the core output, which is a triangle, a really stable and precise triangle. And you also get a mixture of those three different timbre channels. That's the first thing that's special about this module. The other thing is that you are pretty much in a modulation heaven in here. We're not only talking about linear and exponential FM, we are also talking about through zero FM, but also about AM right here. You can audio modulate each of the channels, but you can also have the phase modulation, which is a really interesting alternative to the FM modulation. So let me show you around the panel. What do we have here? Starting from the top, it looks similar to the filter 8. We have the audio and low frequency switch, so you can also use that as an LFO, a really complex LFO. We have the fine knob and the coarse. This is a really interesting one because it has an internal through zero FM voltage that's controlling the triangle core, and you can apply the FM both ways. So here it's a zero, and you can apply the FM this way, but then when you come back through the zero, through the other way, you will invert the waves. So you don't need to patch anything in here, which is the through zero FM, to achieve some really nice and interesting FM sounds. Then we have the exponential FM right here also, which works with the exponential FM jack in here. We also have another more traditional exponential modulation with the volt per octave standard. And then we have the phase knob that doesn't do much by itself because you're just changing the phase. So when it stays, when it's not moving, it's not really doing anything special. Once you apply a modulation to this circuit, which is independent of the core circuit, it won't affect the core. It only affects the three timbre channels, fundamental, even, and odd. And once you apply a modulation signal to the phase socket right here, this just becomes a bipolar attenuator. We also have those two switches, really important for the FM circuit. So the bias switch allows you to switch from a standard linear FM to the through zero. So if it's in the down position, it's on, so it adds 5 volts to the modulation. But when it's up, we are having the through zero modulation. AC, this one allows you to remove any DC offset from the signal, which helps to track the voltage while you are doing some FM. Reset and flip, these allow you to perform a hard sync, hard reset, and a soft sync with the flip right here. Then we have the modulation inputs for the AM, so ring modulation right there for fundamental, even, and odd, and the outputs right here. They all have LEDs, so you can see when it's red, it's positive, and when it's blue, it's negative. It's really helpful while you are in the LFO mode. That would be it for the front panel. Now let's listen how it sounds like. When there's nothing patched in here, these knobs control level and polarity for each of the timbral channels. So right now I'm using the fundamental level. So in the middle it's 0. Then at the max position it's 10 VPP. Then if we go back to the left, it's 10 volt PP again at this position, but with polarity being inverted. But once there's something inserted in the AM modulation socket right here, fundamental, then this switches to bipolar attenuverter. Now let's hear how even channel sounds like. Same thing here. Okay. Now we can go to the odd and also change the odd. But when it gets really interesting is when you use the full channel, so a mixture of all three of the channels. So we can set a different level and polarity independently for each of the channels. So this only makes up for a whole universe of different timbres, different sounds. And again, we can halt like so. So it's just frozen at the 0. There's also the core, the triangle core. This is octave lower, so it can serve as a sub-oscillation output. And it is very stable and precise. So let's start with some vanilla FM patches. I have the module switched to the linear FM, and I also have patched a Rubicon to the FM socket right here. Let's switch it to the audio range. So what you're hearing right now is a standard modulation of the core right there. Okay. Now a really practical and cool trick here is to use the same modulation source for the reset, because you know, while playing with the FM it could get kind of chaotic, and sometimes when you're doing melodic stuff you want some clearer sound. So what I have done is I have mounted this to the hard sync reset, and now when I change, you can hear it's changing, you can hear it's stepping. Let me switch to the through 0 FM. Okay. Now again, if I connect the reset, it's going to be more structured. Now let's listen to the full output. And now I can apply some CV to the volt per octave on the modulating oscillator, which is the Rubicon. And I can play some cool melodies, as you can hear. So it's more predictable. But you can also have, again, a through 0 amplitude modulation of each of the timbre channels. So now if I modulate it here with the same Rubicon signal, I'm having a ring modulator. But this ring modulating is applied only to the odd channel. So this opens up a whole new universe of different possibilities, because for instance now I can use the full output and I can modulate another timbre the fundamental with a different oscillator. So what I have right now is I am ring modulating the fundamental and the odd, but the even stays untouched. Let's see what happens when I modulate the even. Okay? And of course, once you start changing the modulation sources, it's infinite. I mean, it is literally infinite. Okay? My God. And you can, of course, still use some other sources for the FM modulation. So I'm using the ring modulation, but I can use the exponential FM, for instance. This is the filter 8 driven into self-oscillation. You can see right here. Why not? Or I can use the through zero. As you can hear, it's doesn't end. But that's not all to it. On top of that, we also have the phase modulation right there. And the phase modulation is a bit different because it's not affecting the core, it's only affecting the timbre channels and of course the full channel, as it is a mix of those timbre channels. And it's similar to the FM sounds, but it's not changing the frequency of the oscillator. It stays constant. And again, we can apply it to individual outs and to the full outs. Let's try the even. So when there's nothing plugged into the phase, this just switches the phase manually, and you won't be hearing anything until you move this knob. So let's apply some modulation from the filter 8 to the phase in right here. You can hear that the sound by itself, the sound of the even, stays the same. Listen to the pitch. It's not moving anywhere. Okay? We can do the same thing to the odd. And we can do the same thing to the full, to all three of them. Okay? Like so. And, of course, we can still use all the other through zero modulations. So, this let's do it. We can, of course, switch one of the sources to the low frequency. We can also use filter 8 in LFO mode and modulate the phase in such a way this is a DPO serving as a linear FM right now. So again, the phase modulation. Let's speed it up. I mean, it never ends. It's really so inspiring. This is my 3rd hour with it, and I'm still coming up with some new stuff. To summarize it, we have all kinds of possible FM modulation. Linear, exponential, through zero. Then we have 3 separate timbre outputs. Each of them can be modulated with an amplitude modulation down below here. Then we also have the phase modulation, and we can combine and mix those different modulations in different ways with different amounts. It just blows my mind how many different sounds and timbres you can achieve with that. I can easily imagine one or two of these replacing all my other oscillators. And with the filter 8 and contour 1, you pretty much can get yourself a pure JORANALOGUE system right now. My favorite sound shaping combo by far. There is nothing quite like Generate 3 out there as far as I'm aware. So try it out and see if it's for you, but I'm pretty sure once you try it, you won't return it. For now, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. If you found that video useful and if you liked it, please subscribe, please like, and spread the good word. I see you next time. Bye bye.